Did you know that bilingual children can outperform monolingual children by up to 50%? And not only on language, but this is a cognitive superpower. Turns out speaking two languages actually doesn't confuse children. It rewires their brains to be sharper, faster, and actually more focused. So, back in the day, there were concerns that speaking more than one language can confuse a child. But there are a lot of studies like from University of York or Harvard that actually scientifically prove the benefits of, raising your child bilingual. In case you hadn't noticed, I absolutely love researching. I often get stuck in the research rabbit hole. So for those of you parents that would like, scientific background and to read further on this topic, I think I'm going to share one of the studies from York University so you can get more input on it and, do your own research, create your own opinion on the topic. Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Tafara. I'm Zimbabwean and I'm raising my little one in Germany. And today I'm going to be talking about, raising a bilingual or trilingual child. So our son already speaks English and German and a bit of Shona. And today I'm going to be sharing, the tips, how we decided who speaks which languages, what's worked for us so far, and, whatever tips that have helped us make this bilingual, trilingual journey easier. So of course we had, multiple discussions about which language or which languages our son would speak when before I was even pregnant. But of course the conversation solidifies when, when you're now pregnant and the baby is there. And of course the options that we concretely had were German, English, and Shona. I wanted my son to speak Shona and English. Since he's growing up in Germany, my assumption was that he's obviously, by default, naturally going to learn German with time. His dad wanted him to speak German and English because, well, okay, German, he's here in Germany, but he wanted the English because, by the time he goes to school and they're learning English in school, he already has, this advantage. He can speak the language, and it's like a subject that you already know your child is going to be good at before they actually even embark on it. And English is global. He can speak English everywhere. I was advocating for Shona because I'm like, well, German, English, those are, no-brainers. He's definitely going to learn them whether he likes it or not. But like with Shona, I actually have to actively teach him Shona. It's not like he's just going to learn it in school here the same way he's going to learn German and English. So I had the impression that one's going to require a bit more brain muscle from my end and also from our son. And we ended up weighing out lots of options and settled for English and German for starters, not eliminating Shona, but the introduction to Shona was like more unconventional and unique. But I'll touch on that as we go along. The key reason why it was so important for us to decide from the get-go which languages he speaks is because we opted to go for the one parent, one language route. So his dad would exclusively speak with him in German and I would exclusively speak with him in English to eliminate confusion and to just make it easier for the child to be like, okay, dad speaks German, mom speaks English. And with time, he can figure that out by himself. Of course, this is more like a methodological approach to it, because one thing I can say, especially for us Zimbabweans or a lot of Africans, we actually grow up bilingual, trilingual, you name it. It's the most normal thing for us in our society, and of which sometimes people be like, oh my gosh, you're raising your child bilingual, he speaks English and German, oh, that's so amazing. As amazing as it can be, for us Africans, it's the norm. Because we grew up speaking Shona and English, and we didn't even know how to differentiate the two languages because we just mix the languages in one sentence, right? You learn to differentiate it as you grow older. But even now, when I'm speaking with my sisters or with my family, my cousins, you name it, I don't exclusively speak English or exclusively speak Shona or exclusively speak Ndebele. I just mix up the languages depending on who I'm speaking with, and then it just flows. So for us, growing up bilingual is normal. But seeing as, I'm raising him in a society where this is not the norm, we actually had to stop and think about it and think of an approach that's easy for us as parents and that's easy for him as a child. I used to babysit for a family where the dad was American, the mom was German, and there I got like the first-hand experience of this approach and how great it is, because when I was babysitting, I was only allowed to speak with the baby or with the child in English, and the mom explained to her, Tafara reads Papa books. So when she wanted the dad to read to her, she automatically crawled to the box with English books, and she knew those were the only books that dad could read. And when she wanted the mom to read to her, she would crawl to the box with the German books, and those are the books that the mom would read. So I liked that approach. I saw it working in real life, and of course, for the parents, it's really hard to like really stick to one language. I speak German. Sometimes I do speak with him in German, but he's now at that age where he reprimands me and he says, Mama, you speak English. So if I'm speaking with him in German, he's not listening to what I'm saying because I'm speaking with him in the wrong language. Anyways, that's just that on the approach of, you know, how we decided which languages. And then as of Shona, I was like, okay, he will hear me speaking Shona anyways, because, well, I do speak Shona, and he's going to pick up on words along the way. And then I told myself as an approach, when he's fully grasped and understood the concept of speaking English, I'm going to switch and now completely speak with him in Shona, because I didn't want to, we decided against 3 languages in one go, because sometimes kids that do speak many languages from the get-go, they start speaking later, and it's because they have a lot of languages to process in their heads. But when they do start speaking, it's like, you hear cases of kids that weren't speaking until a certain age, and then when they started, they were constructing full sentences. So I didn't want to have the pressure of trying to figure out, okay, do we have a development issue here or not? So, you know, we officially stuck to the 2 languages. And of course, he knows words like Iwe. That was like the 3rd word he learned. His first word was mama, then papa, and the 3rd word was Iwe. And he hears me speaking with my family, but one thing I consciously told myself to stop doing, I was the parent responsible for English. I often found myself reprimanding him in Shona. Usadaro. Zakati kweserere. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm always telling him off in Shona, I need to stop this, so that he doesn't associate my mother tongue with something negative. And so I told myself, when he's fully grasped English, I'm going to switch to Shona. Unfortunately, by the time I made this, conclusion that he had fully grasped English, he decided he didn't want to speak in English anymore. So this happened at like round about 2.5 years, where I was genuinely ready to switch to Shona. And now at this point, German has solidified. It's his default language, which makes sense. We live in Germany. He goes to the dayminder where everyone speaks in German. When we're moving around within society, everyone around him is speaking in German. So of course, with time, you realize this is my default language. It's easier for me to just speak in German. And this is where it became difficult for me as a parent who was, the one teaching the different language, because now he wouldn't respond to me in English. I speak with him and he replies me in German. And I had to continue and be consistent and keep speaking in English. So that was very hard, because it was very tempting to be like, oh, you're speaking with me in German, I can do it too. So, I continued to speak in English. And when I told my family this back then, they're like, oh no, it's because he knows that you speak in German. That's why he's doing it with you. I observed during our phone calls, he was still speaking with my family in English. But with time, he stopped speaking with my family in English as well. And he was now only speaking German. And he tells his grandmother and grandfather and his aunties and uncles to speak in German, which they can't. So they'll speak with him in English. He'll answer in German. And sometimes, even if he knows the answer in English, he'll stop to think and translate in German before he answers, so that he gives them feedback in German. And interestingly enough, he's doing the same thing with his paternal grandparents, where when he's with them, he's not speaking in German, but he's speaking in English, and he tells them, speak in English. So he's playing with our brains. Anyways, because this thing happened, right, I decided to put a pause on the plans to introduce Shona, because I was like, oh, what do I do now? Let me keep speaking with him in English till he gets back to English. And the thing is, okay, I've waited long enough. He now does speak with me in English again. It took like almost half a year of him speaking back to me in German and I'm replying in English. We're now back at English, so I'm ready to introduce Shona. But the timing is absolutely perfect because we'll be going to Zimbabwe soon and his Shona needs to be, up to speed. I want him to practice a little bit and then he practices more when we get home and he can improve his Shona, and that, that's going to help me help him learn the mother tongue. Guys, he's learning Shona through my music. His current favorite song is Ndindambata, and he'll randomly be walking around the house saying Ndindambata, Ndindambata. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cute. But I'm like, okay, I need to refine my strategy because it's not every day you're going to butter someone.
Like, comment, subscribe, and share.